Hey, Idaho's Deadpool coming at you. I just ran over this video today, and it's a guy I actually follow. He supposedly trains a lot, does a lot of stuff. He went to like base camp for Mount. What the fuck is one over there? I don't remember. Anyways, if you look at his YouTube thing, you can see he does a lot of stuff. I don't think this guy is as much as a woodsman as he portrays, and I'll explain why. But that's not this. That's not what I'm doing this video. And so, I want to be very poignant. It's like, you guys know. Okay, I'm gonna turn that down here. You guys know I'm pro law enforcement. I help run a group just to help law enforcement and first responders. So I've been looking at this, and there's a lot of comments, and I gotta say, is like, the majority of this is not the department's fault. They're not trained in SR or SNR, search and rescue. They were pretty much just given sleds and say, go get somebody if they need help. A search and rescue team like we have up here in Valley County and a lot of other places, they're dedicated. A lot of times they're volunteers, and they actually train, or they're getting trained and learn how to go get somebody. As in, if somebody calls out, number one, it's like, if I know even the remote-ish area where you're at, stay there. I don't want you to move at all, because if you move, you could break something, you could hurt something, you can get lost again. I have to find you again. If I think I know where you're at in a general location, I will come find you, and I'm gonna bring in us stuff. So once I get to you, I'm going to make sure you're warm, hydrated, fed, and medically sound to take out. So as soon as I take you out, you're meeting an ambulance to have them check you out before anything else. That's the normal role of a search and rescue. It's a very, very toss-up of, you have to be half survival, half EMT, and correlate a lot of stuff. A lot of you guys know I've been on 3 different search and rescue groups. I was on a Snowbell search and rescue group. I don't want to say how long because I forget. It's over a decade. A motorcycle search and rescue, which is just kind of backcountry, dirt bike, cross country, that sort of thing, for at least 5 years. And then water for 10-ish, somewhere in there. I've been in a lot of search and rescue groups. I got a lot of training. Yeah, that's the first thing you tell everybody, is like, stay put. I'm coming to you. I'm going to help you survive and get you out to somebody who's a lot better than me to figure out you're going to live. So that's where we're at on this. Yeah, so we're going to go through this. And again, I will point out where I think this guy's full of shit and where I'm going to believe a quarter or half of what he says. And it's still bad. Let's go.
Here's the situation. It is day 4 of me in the back country of the Bitterroot Mountains in northern Idaho. And I have triggered my SOS button on my Garmin for rescue. I was trying to make it to a few lakes called Walton Lakes. The first couple days were good, but...
Okay, the first thing, anybody that knows anything about woods in wintertime, if you look where he's going, it's a big freaking valley. Like a humongous valley. In the wintertime in Idaho, I would not want to be trapped in that, because you know, if you're going to be walking out this whole creek line right there, if you get a heavy snowfall out of the blue. Because, yeah, weather in mountain conditions, advisory crap doesn't always work. You just get snowfall. First clue. He doesn't understand where he's going and the problems he could have, because he is going into this ravine. And I'm going to try to move my thing up here. This ravine right here. Look at this mountain ridge here. It comes all the way over. So he's going to come over and try to go over that to go down here. He's in a bowl. In the middle of winter, I would not trap myself in a valley ever. That's the first part. I was like, this guy really is overestimating his woodsman techniques in Idaho winter, the backcountry.
Then yesterday, I just turning down into the lakes, basically came down into a canyon, and I feel like I'm kind of stuck. The snow is waist deep down in here, and getting up out of this canyon.
It's not waist deep. Look through all the videos he takes. Maybe 2 foot of snow. Maybe. He's over-exaggerating there. But, yeah, you can tell even with down logs, with how much snow is on that, he's probably looking at maybe 2.5 feet. Maybe.
Is not looking too promising, so I was texting with Brett last night on the Garmin, and he gave me some good advice. Said, don't wait to hit the SOS until it's too late.
So this is where he was like, oh, kind of, I'm getting over my head kind of thing.
So I hit it last night around 5, and they have dispatched some units out to a trailhead about 2 miles from me, but they are telling me I need to walk to the trailhead, which...
So I'm going to skip through some of this video because it's 24 minutes long. But the one thing, everybody's saying he's a YouTuber and all that kind of crap. I want you to pay attention. That's that clip, and there's one other when he's walking across the lake. Is the only 2 times he actually clued on to turn his phone on and record. Because if you have somebody who documents everything all the time as a YouTuber or whatever, and they're not using their phone to record, that tells you right there, in their mind, I have to save my phone. I have to save my battery. His extra brick battery solar charger he brought, he was trying to charge his Garmin with it. That tells me he's probably not doing this for media, or he would have had his GoPro running the whole time and documented this whole freaking thing. We have seen it before on YouTube where people placate emergencies and videotape it, and it's kind of like, yeah, you're a douchebag. So I'm going to skip through parts of this because a lot of it is just showing where he's at and where they're at, and it's kind of the same.
I'm not exactly sure if I got to this situation. Last year in the middle of winter, I did a trip in the Bitterroots going 20 miles over a couple of days, and
he just saying he did that, and then so this year he wanted to do this stretch, and it was 7 miles. Is all he's saying.
This year I wanted to 1,000 feet, and the lakes being at 6,200 feet, I felt like the elevation wasn't too high. There wasn't much of a steep elevation drop or loss, so
again, he's not a woodsman. If you look at that trail, how it comes around and then goes and goes all the way up there, he's going to this lake right here. So yeah, overestimated what he could do.
In my mind, I kind of imagined a challenging yet pretty even snowshoe across country to these lakes. And being only 7 miles, I thought a quick 7 out, a quick 7 back. Knowing
any woodsman knows, if you're in the outback, especially Washington in the Cascades, higher Idaho, 7 miles in the winter, that's could be 2 days, depending on the terrain and the snow and the ice and crap.
that I'd be traveling in snow, I made sure to pack extra supplies. I gave myself 4 days to do this, but I definitely felt like I was packing for 5, 6, even the possibility of a week, just in case things got a little sketchy and I had to take some extra time getting in or getting out from the lakes. Day 1 was a pretty straightforward day. That daylight is a lot shorter this time
I'm skipping.
I have from breaking down camp to be really tricky, right? Because you have all that snow that's fallen on them. So you're kind of navigating a lot of times.
If you notice how much snow is there right now, it's about 1.5 to 2 feet. Everything where he's walking. from everything on logs and on trails, that's what it looks like.
Animals will use the trail. It's really tough to see a trail, but on day 2,
And he's not wrong. Me and my buddy did the Tahoe Rim Trail, and we got unsuspected snowfall and totally lost the trail, was stranded at a lake, and luckily I knew what to do because my buddy wanted to hit his SOS button, and I was like, nope, we got this. And we walked out. In wintertime, yes, it is very easy, even with a foot of snow, with the wind, trails go away very easily.
the first little stint in the backcountry, I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on the trail.
Okay, we're skipping.
The going was slow, up over trees that you can't see, and the going was, they were covered in snow, and I couldn't get to them. Furthermore, the only kind of food I brought were dehydrated meals. So they needed water to be rehydrated, they needed boiling water, and I also needed water to drink. And the way that I was getting my water was by melting snow, which is really inefficient. You don't get much for a lot of energy that you consume. To make my meals,
Again, why this guy doesn't know how to live in the outback, especially climates like higher Washington, because that's where I'm from, and higher Idaho, because I live here. Yes, melting snow is a long process. Everybody thinks you just melt snow. If you fill up that cup totally full with snow, it's going to take forever. Like, you will burn through a can trying to melt that. If you put like this much snow in it, melt it, and then trickle in snow slowly, it'll melt faster and use less gas. But where he's talking about later on, he ran out of propane because he only took one bottle. Another mistake. Always. And he didn't have a second pot. Everybody should actually be carrying a second container. So you, if in the wintertime especially, even in the summertime I do it, you can purify water in one and use the other one to start purifying, drink it out of that one, and then you have another whole batch that's purified. You let it cool, and then you take this one, you go over purified it, and you're using the second one that already cooled because you don't want to drink really hot water. You need to rotate them like that. It works better. But yeah, it's just another point. He has all the water he needs. He just doesn't know how to get it, and he did prepare to get it. He actually has enough right now, just with that can, the jet boil canister. If you take the sleeve off it and build a fire, hot enough, yeah, you're gonna destroy the fins underneath it, but you can melt snow. But he should have a second one.
I had to boil the snow, and though I brought a full 8-ounce fuel canister, I only brought one. I didn't need anything.
Again,
I made sure that that's in between you. So at the start of day 3, I hiked up over that 7,000 foot little cliff there, and then unfortunately made a descent that had me drop.
Anybody that actually goes into that kind of area and is going from like 5, 6 to like 7 or 8, you know the weather on that's going to be totally different. The snow level is going to be totally different. You don't do that unless you're prepared. Like you're prepared. And he's carrying a 50-pound pack, I think he said, which I think he's probably over-exaggerating there. Because when I did my main hike, I was doing a 28 or 30-pound pack. And I literally had no winter gear at all. My food and double ways of boiling shit and all that kind of crap. And when we got stuck, I made a fireplace and I was fine. Took out my emergency blankets, wrapped around my hammock. That was fine. I was actually sweating and had to like undo my thing so I wouldn't sweat. This is a guy, I know he means well, but he was not prepared to go here.
Dropping down about 1,000 feet in a half mile. Think of me rolling down a hill that's just covered in fallen trees and thick snow all the way down.
Again, a little over exaggeration there, but yeah, it's a steep grade.
Into a little drainage at 5,500 feet.
Look at the snow load next to that river. It's only about 2 feet deep. Again.
I keep walking to within about 0.3 miles of Walton Lake, and underneath it, I find a stream with a hole in it where I can get water. And this is where I decide to set up camp for night 3. I need to be here next to my water source. I need to rehydrate for sure. This is where I make camp.
I would only do that in Idaho, and only if I was in an oh shit situation. I purify everything else. Unless I see it coming out of, like, we have springs, like where I go. There's like 4 different springs, and I label them all out on my map. I drink right out of that spring because it's coming right out of the ground. But a river, I boil it or I filter it, one or the other. I have a filter system. I've never used it. I just always boil it because I'm good at that. Building little Dutch, Dakota fires. It's a hole with a key coming out for airway. To boil a little pot. Yep.
And this is where I try to formulate my plan. Now, before I leave for any adventure like this, I have someone back at home that I give my plans to.
And that's always a good idea. I always do that. Everybody should do that. Say, I'm going here. If I go out, I might go this way. If you change your plans, hit a ridge top, try to send a message, I'm going this way. So everybody knows where to find you if you never come back. So I'm going to skip a little bit.
And I eat Brett my food. And Brett gave me a...
So you can see he's kind of going, oh crap. And he's going to message SOS because at this point, this dude is over. He figured out real quick. He's run out of fuel for a stove, which most hikers are like, that's a given. I don't ever have to make a fire. I always have a trail. This guy, from what I've seen on his videos, it's one of those, he's not being led by anybody. He's out by himself. He doesn't know where the trail's at all, even though he has, the little tiny Garmin map. And he's running out of fuel to melt snow, which I don't know why he's doing that, because he's unprepared. Maybe that's pretty much it.
A solid piece of advice, and one that I just who it is.
This is where it starts, his SOS thing. And I'm stopping on this thing so you guys can read the messages, because this is where I kind of went, what the hell? It's not right here, it's soon.
So you get a message first that inform them.
So here they're saying they're doing Idaho County Sheriff's Office. I didn't realize they didn't have a search and rescue group. He said that they were just deputies. So again, it's like, I'm not dishing on the county for their search and rescue techniques because they were never trained. What he says later, if a quarter of it's true, there should have been more professionalism, especially on their post of how they posted after the fact. That should not have happened. It should have, we went in and we helped the guy and he was in this location and we got him out safe. And that should have been it.
That I have shelter.
Here he's saying he has shelter, he has food, he's water, da, da, da. He's still trying to say, I got this. Where, when he said he only took 1 bottle and he's melting snow because he couldn't find a creek, he already knows he's screwed. So this is him trying to say, I'm good in the woods, and he's not.
I have food, I'm warm, it's about 5 o'clock in the evening, figure out, and we can get to our spots. I inform them I can move. I inform them I see a...
So, I did search and rescue before, like, everybody has a cell phone. And then I got into the age where cell phones were there and some Richies had satellite phones. In every case, stay there. Don't freaking move. And so what he's saying is, like, I can move, but I will only do it, I will not move unless I'm directed to. That's actually a good statement. It's like, stay where you're at. And they should have said, stay where you're at. We're going to have guys come to you.
Road about 2 miles away called Tom Beal to them. She was supposed to move. It is a last even more.
You just say what I just said.
Where you are, so they can see your move.
Now he's talking about Garmin, how he was scouting around, so he made camp, and he just scouted around, which is a good thing to do, to figure out what resources you have around you for that night. It's not a bad thing. But the sheriff's office saw the Garmin walking around, and they thought he was walking away. And that's what he's talking about right there.
Movement. So you speak the charger. So I was able to kind of charge the Garmin as I went and charge my phone. I was definitely running out of power on this. And
now he's charging his phone and his Garmin, but he's not taking video. Which tells me he didn't plan this, because any YouTuber would be every night taking video, and every day taking video for this epic, gonna get 1 million views kind of thing. So that tells me he was not thinking about the video. He was like, shit, I'm screwed.
If you know these things, it is about 2.5 miles as the crow flies.
And this is where they started going, you need to head to the trailhead that's on top of the mountain. Yes, there's one photo that shows, and it doesn't look that bad. You look on the topographic map he had. It's like, it's a steep hill. So between the map and the photo, it's like, yeah, that's why the trail is switchbacked. You know, in Idaho, why all the trails are switchbacked, because it's a really steep hill. So the fact they're saying, for a guy who's lost, and he's like, well, I have food, I have shelter, and everything else, they're saying, just grab your shit and march up this hill of fallen logs and everything else, because later on, the sheriff's office had to cut logs out of the road to get down it with their sleds. I don't know why they did not just say, stay there and go. I get it. You know, they're down at SNR, and so it was one of those like meet us halfway kind of thing. But that's not what should have happened in my experience, in my training.
But it is high up there.
That topo kind of shows you. I mean, it's not a, oh my god, I can't climb up it, but 2 foot of snow. If you're exhausted, going up and over a mountain and down and everything else is like, at that point is like, don't, because you're probably going to hurt yourself. Wait for us to get to you.
You can see it on the map. It's the rate I was traveling. I knew the conditions of the landscape, and I said to them, that's fine, I think I can make it to the road. It's just going to take me.
So when he says it'll take me a couple days, tells you he's exhausted. Stay there, don't move. We're coming for you. Right there. And here they're trying to give him direction, or the dispatcher is. And the dispatcher is basically doing whatever the department says. And that's when they're asking for
2 days is all.
The address,
i.e.,
so
like,
they can go back and forth.
Be prepared to come out here, and it's for me to take me 2 days. I'm not going to get there tomorrow.
And again, he's now at the lake, and the bottom thing, there is no trail. Which tells me, number one, it's going to be hard to see. It really is. But also tells me his frame of mind. He's frantic, which means he's not picking up any clues of where a trail could be. Or how to even, it's like, screw the trail, how do I get on top of this? I have a map, I know what's up there. How do I get there? So, frame of mind kind of thing.
It makes.
This is the second video he took. He only took 2 in this video of him in this.
Getting around it easier. There's a trail at the other end, supposedly, that the rescue team wants me to go there and then climb out of this canyon.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. And this is why you say, wait, you take my grid away? There. This is why you say stay put. He is now walking across a frozen lake. Did he test the ice? The ice is always going to be thinner right around the edges, but did he walk out and actually chip through and see how thick the ice was before he marched his happy ass over? Granted, it all looks the same color, which is a good thing, because ice is different colors if it's thinner in spots, because it hasn't, like, really got froze. But this is why you tell people to stay put. They told him to go to lake. Now he's walking across the frozen lake. If this breaks, he's screwed. He's screwed. I mean, he's going to already tell you here in a minute that he can't make his dehydrated food because he ran out of gas. So that means he doesn't know how to make a fire on snow, which should be the first thing you need to know if you're going to the backwoods when it's winter, is how to make a fire on snow. But this is a perfect example why you tell people stay where you're at.
So, I think that's the first thing I know. When you hit rescue on the Garmin, it doesn't mean they're gonna just drop in with a helicopter or a boat or something like you're on alone.
That is somewhat true. It's stay put, but if they're taking a helicopter and they can't get people to you on the ground, usually people are going towards you on the ground. If they can get a helicopter there, which this would be an easy spot to get a helicopter and drop a fucking basket, I'm just saying. They might say, can you get to the ridge of where you're at? Or the opening, wherever you're at. Because they're like, okay, if you're in this area, there's a clearing 100 yards this way or whatever, where we can have a helicopter just drop a basket, climb in it, buckle it, and go up. As we have guys running to you to help you out. But, yeah. Usually they don't say, well, thank you for hitting SOS. Now, walk to the trailhead, because we're there.
They're like, here's the nearest point. We need you to get your ass over here. So, it's really like, you're still on your own. I go cross country to the second lake, and I arrive at the second lake at about...
That's the only part I think he actually thought about the video. I don't know if you guys caught it. He did one video when he's in his tent. He did this video walking across the lake, and then it shows him walking across the lake. That means he purposely put his camera on the ground and walked away from it and had to walk back to pick up his camera. I think that's the only time he actually said, oh shit, I should actually video this because this is going to be awesome. Because this is the last video you have of him in this situation.
Oh, noon. Again, I have not eaten this day. I am still rationing my food. So the last meal I had was the night before. I'm doing about one meal, one rehydrated meal every night. That's it.
And people that know cold weather, you're going to freeze yourself because you don't have enough calories to burn up to get that internal engine rocking. If you had to do that, the best thing is try to stay as warm as you can and eat right before you go to bed. So everything's cranking when you're in your sleeping bag. But yeah, that's not good winter survival at all.
I get to the second lake, I take in my surroundings, I ask where the rescue team is, I give an update on my location, and I start looking for the trail. And I can't find the trail. I mean, this is why I called search and rescue. This was the problem I was having. There's no trail. On the map, it's a bunch of switchbacks.
And like I said, he just can't find it. He's flustered. We're going to skip through some of this. And this is where they're saying go to the road. And now he's like, what road are you talking about? Because they're giving him a number instead of the name of the road. Because on a lot of Garmin's, they give you the name and not the Forest Service number. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And so now he's getting all confused and saying, where do I go?
Very easy location to identify on a map. And if worse comes to...
Here's where he's saying he wants to stay at the lake. Because he has water, it's open, it's easy to find the lake. and he has a spot for a helicopter to land. And then they basically said, there's no helicopter coming for you. You're going to walk out. Right there. There's no other alternative options. There's no helicopter that'll come pick you up. And that's where he's like, I'm looking straight up a mountain. That's where I'd be like, looking up the mountain going, where can I make camp halfway up that bitch?
I take my time and I walk around and I scout the lake in the area. The Idaho County Sheriff's Office will later say that I went a third of a mile off course. I did not. I was wandering around the lake and the hillside looking for my possible route up and looking for water and things like that. Scouting the area like a real outdoorsman in this situation would do.
And that's true.
You scout the area, okay? A situation like that, you're the one in the situation. You know your body, you know your limits, you know what you're looking at. It's up to you to make the right call for yourself.
That's what he said, I'm not walking up.
And the right call for me was to start setting up camp. I had about 2.5 hours of daylight left. I did not want to get stuck on the side of a mountain in the middle of the night. I thought...
And that's not wrong. That's not wrong. Unless everybody knows they can reach you. If you have 2 hours of daylight left and they don't absolutely know you walking up, them walking down, they're going to get you in an hour and a half, then you should stay there. And they should have said stay there. We'll come to you. Because by the time it's hitting dark, we're at you. We'll help you get comfortable. Make sure you're not hurt. We can get evac if we have to. Feed you. Because all these guys should be carrying food, extra clothes, blankets, food, water, fire starter, everything. They should carry enough going in to last at least 2 to 3 days. For them and one other. The person they're coming in for.
Best case scenario, I can stop here. I can get water from the stream. I can be super rehydrated and sleep and have energy. Now out of food, I am now out of the ability to melt snow. It's day 4.
So when he says, he basically told him he's out of food, like right there, and he texted him, he said, I'm out of food, everything else. He's not out of food. He's out of gas for his jet boil. And so he's going in his head, I can't melt snow, I can't make water for my dehydrated meals, yada, yada, yada. He doesn't realize that you can actually put snow in one of the bags, like an empty MRE bag, stick it in your pants, and the snow will melt. And then he can pour that into his dehydrated thing. Or he can actually, if he knew how, build a fire. Use all the extra bags he brought in, all the food he's eaten from the dehydrated meals, use those bags to fill up snow to put by the fire and have 5, 6, whatever bags melting snow for him so he has water for his food and to drink.
And I inform them that I am out of food. And it's not until I tell them that I'm out of food that I get a text finally from the rescue team that says they are on their way down to get me. About an hour later, I hear a yell from the mountainside of people that I can't see of, hey, can you make it up here? And I say, I don't know where you are, but I have camp set up. Should I break down my camp? To which they respond, if you want to get out of here.
So that's a dude that goes, we're not getting out of here in the middle of the night. I don't think we want to tramp through the snow in the middle of the night because he's scared. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And he's like, I'm assuming you guys are going to bring down a camp to help me live another night and then walk my happy ass out in the morning. Yeah.
So I go and I start to break down my camp rather quickly. 2 police officers finally arrive next to me. They don't say hi. They don't ask me how I'm doing. They don't ask if I'm injured. What they first say is, you have food, with a question. Because they see all my dehydrated meals lay it out on the snow, and I had told them that I'm out of food, but all they see is food laid out. And I say, no, I'm not out of food, but I'm out of the fuel to make it. I've trampled down a lot of the area around me, and one of the officers asked me why I did that, and I said, well, in case you guys needed to set up camp and we needed to stay the night. I really didn't know if we had enough daylight to get up a mountain and out on snowmobiles. I figured the search and rescue team might come in, we might spend a night together, and then we might go out in the morning.
So I gotta say, if you ask any search and rescue, or if you ask any law enforcement officer, especially those two, it's sometimes like fire department people, when they find somebody who's in a situation where they're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and they don't know what to do, they do stupid shit. I mean, they just do busy work. Fire department, they get to a scene of an accident, and you have bystanders just picking up pieces of the debris and taking them off the side of the road, and you're like, don't do that, that's part of a crime scene. But they do it because they don't know what else to do. Somebody comes up over to a DV or whatever, and she's just picking up shit and putting it away, and they're like, what are you doing? She's frustrated, doesn't know what to do, so she's picking up the items that was used to beat her and put them in the kitchen. I mean, it's a normal thing for people in stress situations where they don't know what to do. They have no skill level to actually confront the issue in front of them. They do busy work, like stomping down snow. For search and rescue guys to be able to put up a tent, if they had to, they don't need to do that, number one. And number two, he was just losing his shit, in my opinion.
They laugh and they say, no, we're not staying here. I finally have to ask for food, and I'm given one Cliff Bar, not offered any water. Before I'm even done setting up my camp, the officers walk away and disappear.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Number one, they should always have jerky or pepper sticks or something easy eat. Cliff Bars as well. I find little things, especially if people are super stressed, because people can actually go into shock when you get to them. It's kind of weird, but they get so wound up of like, my shit's going world, oh my god, I'm gonna die, everything else, and you show up and it's a relief, but it's so much an emotional thing, it almost throws them in like a shock thing. And if they actually get water or get food, they'll throw up. So be able to have something small. I always kept jerky, protein bars, like little bags of like chips and stuff, which always were crushed, but it was like just nibble on them. And then I had like ramen. Back in the day, I actually carried cans of soup and all that kind of stuff. So if I got to a spot, I'm like, no, I need you to stay here. I radio in. I'm like, I'm camping here for the night. Send one more person down. So we always have one person with them. When he said that the cops walked off, you never leave somebody you're going in for alone. Ever. You don't know their state of mind. You know how crazy they are. You don't know if they're going to pass out, if they're going to freak out or whatever. And you want to make sure they get out safe. So you're constantly watching them, making sure they're not stepping into logs, they're not falling into rivers or a lake or whatever. They're your responsibility once you get there. You don't let them out of your eyes. Ever. In my opinion.
Along the trail and start heading up it without me. Basically, I think they wanted me to hurry. Yeah, it's tough, you know, like.
And this is a lot of this stuff is like, I'm taking, like I told my buddy, it's like, I'm taking like half to quarter of what he's saying is true. The apartment's still filled because they were not professional. Even though they don't know about search and rescue and how to do it correctly, I give them that, and it's not their fault they're not trained, and they don't have a legit search and rescue group. I mean, you can give anybody snowmobiles. It doesn't make you search and rescue. It's a field upon itself. You know, our search and rescue, our smoke jumpers, our horse guys that go out. I mean, every one of the bike guys that go out, all of them are specialized, and they do it for a reason. They're trained for a reason. So I don't blame the sheriff's office deputies for not knowing how to do search and rescue. I do blame them if a quarter of this is true for the unprofessionalism. And then watch and seeing their post, which I went and read and commented on, that didn't not. That should have never happened. That should have been, we rescued a guy in this area. He got out. He's safe. He's home. We're good. All the details and all the, like, he was a third from a mile from the trailhead because of the mountain. Third of a mile, like, as a crow flies, is not a third of a fucking mile. Walking it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's different. You're not just walking straight. You're walking. And, I mean, most of this from now on is just him talking. But, and that's my other thing, is like on their post, their big thing about he was only this far. I comment on his thing, is I've rescued people 100 feet off a groomed freaking trail. Get out there and we figure out where they're at. And they're 100 feet off a legit groomed snowmobile trail. But they couldn't see it. They were scared, and they were scared to try to walk through the snow. It's okay for them to be scared. That's why I'm there. I'm there to save them and walk them 100 feet and go, now you can get on my snowmobile and we're gonna leave. We're gonna go. That's the job of the search and rescue. And more to the point, if it's only a third of a mile, why are you texting them to come up to you anyways? Get your happy asses down there. You had sleds, number one. If it wasn't that bad of a hill, you should be able to ride the sled all the way down. Even if it's a pretty steep hill. Should have rode them all the way down and rode them all the way back up. But it was a really steep hill. But again, it was said it was only like a third of a mile, half a mile, whatever. It's like, then there should be no issues. The first night saying, we're going to send people down you with supplies, heat, or a way to generate heat, as in a fire, and make sure you're safe to march your happy ass out the next day with somebody to make sure you're safe on the way out. And so I want to do this because I know my comments and everybody else is probably going to go, you know, this guy, I'm totally behind him. I think this guy, he got over his head. I'm sure he believes he's good. I think he needs a lot to learn because obviously there's several things he could have done, like building a fire, which would have saved his ass. Like when I said I was on the Tower Room Trail, there was a fire band. I'm on a bowl with a frozen lake, heavy winds, very cold, no snow gear, and I was like, I'm building a fire. And my buddy was like, no, it's a fire band, you can't. You'll get excited. I'm like, if somebody wants to climb their happy ass up here and write me a ticket, I would gladly sign that ticket and say, now please march us out. So I built a one-man fireplace, spark-resistant fireplace to heat both of us up and dry out our gear before we went to bed. If you know information before you go out, you will not have this issue. But I don't think it was a media stunt. I really don't. Just because he could have actually made it a media stunt if he wanted to. But he didn't take the video. I think he was ill-prepared. He had not enough knowledge. And the deputies were kind of unprofessional during it. And they didn't have a legit search and rescue team they could lean on to get it done. And that is my big issue with all of this, is those points. Hope that helps. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Catch you guys later. It's drink time.